Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Audit Tutorial Program DAT4A. Lecturer name Puan Dalinzah Cik Din. The group members Muhammad Aikal bin Muhammad Abbas, Muhammad Aiman Hakim bin Muhammad Kamrudin, Muhammad Syafiq Nabi bin Saiful Rasli, and Muhammad Ikmal bin Makzin will present Audit Tutorial Dash Lady Company. First question is, for each of the sample chosen from the annual report, provide two sufficient and appropriate evidence. So the first one, sufficient evidence 300 every 30, and the appropriate evidence is purchase receipt. For example, invoice from Sejahtera to bill from Sejahtera to bill to Dash Lady, invoice number 0 to 5, invoice date 30 November 2021, descriptions Dash Lady. The total price is 55,587,000.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Syafiq Najmi bin Saiful Rasli. My matric number is 10DAT20F1031. Okay, next I will continue the presentation. As we can see, this is the evidence for GG11. The sufficient evidence is 300 every 30, and the appropriate evidence is sale invoice. The total for GG11 is RM 8,945,000.
Hai, Assalamualaikum. Nama saya Muhammad Aikal bin Muhammad Abbas dan nama matrik saya 10DAT20F1019. Okay, I will continue the presentation. First, sufficient evidence for HH11 is 300 and appropriate evidence is interest invoice, and the amount is 330,000 ringgit Malaysia.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Aiman Hakim bin Muhammad Kamrudin. My matric number is 10DAT20F1018. So, as we can see here, this is the evidence of finance cost with code KK1-1, which is contain sufficient evidence 300 every 30, and appropriate evidence is finance cost.
For big question, provide 5 reasons that may influence your judgment as an auditor for considering those evidence is appropriate and sufficient. First is reliability. The reliability of audit evidence is increased when it is obtained from independent sources outside the entity. Reliability of information is the factor that directly affects sufficient appropriate audit evidence. For example, in determining the fair value of a financial asset, if such as list in the stock market, we can directly use the stock market information to determine its value. This is because the value market information is considered reliable. Second is inherent risk. Auditor assessment of the nature and the level of inherent risk at the both FS level and the account balance or class of transaction level. Inherent risk is part of the risk material misstatement. So usually, the higher the inherent risk is, the more audit evidence is required. Third is control risk. Nature of accounting and internal control system and the assessment of control risk. The control risk is also part of the risk of material misstatement. In the case, if the control risk is high, more of the evidence and high quality ones may be required. Next is materiality. Usually, the item with a big amount will require more or better audit evidence both in terms of quantity and quality. Material of the item being examined. Lastly is type and sources of information. Some type of information can provide better audit evidence than others. Example, the bank confirmation letter alone can ensure the existence, valuations, and right of obligation assertions. Next, I will pass to next presenter.
Okay, now I will explain about my part, which is question C, which is explain the procedures or the technique used to get evidence. Okay, the first one is external confirmation, which is auditors can get third-party accounts of the balances the client has reported in its financial statements by using external confirmations. The confirmation may be provided in writing, electronically, or via other formats. External confirmations may provide solid proof of balances existence, but they are not always credible proof of valuation. Okay, and then the second one is observation, which is looking at a process or operation as it is being carried out by another person is known as observation. For instance, an auditor can watch as field employees count inventory or carry out control activities. Audit evidence about a process or procedures performance may be obtained by observation, but this evidence is constrained by the thing of the observation as well as the possibility that being observed may have an impact on how the process or procedure is carried out. Okay, next is a recalculation, which is recalculation is the process by which auditors recalculate balance or transactions and contrast them with amount that were reported. Recalculating might be done manually or digitally. Okay, next is inspection, which is the inspection entails physically inspecting an asset or looking over records or documents, whether they are internal or external, in paper, electronic, or other medium, depending on their type, source, and in the case of internal records and documents, the efficiency of the controls over their production. Inspection of records and documents give audit evidence with varied degrees of credibility. Value and cost can be verified by this proof. Inspection of physical assets typically provides proof of existence or value. Okay, the last one is inquiry, which is inquiry consists of seeking information from knowledgeable personnel in financial or non-financial roles within the organization or outside the company. In addition to other audit techniques, the inquiry may be carried out during the audit. From formal written inquiries, the casual or oral inquiries can take many different forms. The process of conducting inquiries always includes evaluating the response.
Okay, next I will continue for question D. Discuss the nature, timing, and the extent of audit evidence gathered to respond to the risk assessment performed during an audit. Okay, the first is nature. The nature of additional audit procedure refer to both their type: inspection, observation, inquiry, confirmation, recalculation, reperformance, or analytical procedure, and their intend use, test of control, or substantive procedure. For some assumption, certain auditing technique may be preferable to other. For instance, test of control may be more responsive to the evaluate risk of mistesting the completeness assertion in respect to revenue than substantive procedure may be to the assessed risk of mistesting the occurrence assertion. When using information generated by the entity information system to carry out audit process, the auditor should collect audit proof about the accuracy and completeness of the information. For instance, if the auditor use non-financial information or budget data, procedure by the entity information system in performing audit procedure such as substantive, analytical procedure, or test of control, the auditor should obtain audit evidence about the accuracy and completeness of such information. Okay, second is timing. Timing refer to when audit procedure are performed or the period audit to which the audit evidence applies. The auditor may perform tests of control or substantive procedure at an interim date or at period end. The higher the risk of material misstatement, the more likely it is that the auditor may decide it is more effective to perform substantive procedure near to or at the period end rather than at an early date, or to perform audit procedure unannounced or at unpredictable times. For example, performing audit procedure at selected location on an unannounced basis. Certain audit procedure can be performed only at or after period end. For example, agreeing the financial statement to the accounting record or examining adjustment made during the course of preparing the financial statement. If there is a risk that the entity may have entered into improper sales contract or that transaction may not have been finalized at period end, the auditor should perform procedure to respond to that specific risk. The last is extent. Extent refers to the quantity of a specific audit procedure to be performed. For example, a sample size or the number of observation of a control activity. The extent of an audit procedure is determined by the judgment of the auditor after considering the tolerable misstatement, the assessed risk of material misstatement, and the degree of assurance the auditor plans to obtain. In particular, the auditor may increase the extent of audit procedure as the risk of material misstatement increase. However, increasing the extent of an audit procedure is effective only if the audit procedure itself is relevant to the specific risk and reliable. Therefore, the nature of the audit procedure is the most important consideration. This section regards the use of different audit procedure in combination as an aspect of the nature of testing as discussed above. However, the auditor should consider whether the extent of testing is appropriate when performing different audit procedure in combination.
Okay, so next is I will describe 5 management assertion used in the process of gathering the audit evidence. Okay, number 1 is accuracy. The assertion is that the full amount of all transactions were recorded without error. Number 2 is classification. The assertion is that all transactions have been recorded with the correct account in the general ledger. And number 3 is completeness. The assertion is that all business events to which the company was subject were recorded. Okay, number 4 is cut off. The assertion is that all transactions were recorded with the correct report period. And the last, occurrence. The assertion is that record business transaction actually took place. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.